we're seeing some Democrats who are speaking out and getting aggressive about this. And then we're seeing some who are not. There are some who are there saying that it really appears that people are getting aroused. We will win. That, of course, is in the Senate. But in the House, this is just on Friday. I want you to think about what you would do if you were Hakeem Jeffries. And let's just keep it to messaging, right? Let's just keep it to messaging for a moment. And let's be clear. You don't have a majority in the House. Republicans have a very, very slim majority. They're very, very slim, but they do have the majority. You don't have a majority in the Senate by a fairly significant margin for the Senate. You don't have the presidency. You can make things very difficult, though. Or you could, communicate to the American public. There's a lot of things at your disposal. I don't know how effective they're going to be. But what is it that you're trying to do at this point? Trying to get the American public on your side, right? Make them feel like you're going to fight for them. Even if you're going to lose, you're going to fight. We're going to go down with a fight. I mean, how American is that, right? The idea of, well, we're going to put up a fight. We're going to die trying. All the platitudes. Well, here is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who, remind you, just like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, said, president tweeted out, presidents come and go, but God is always on the throne. So
I am so comforted by that.
When it comes to the next key leverage point you all have would be one of the things the government shut down.
Pause it for a second. I just want you to know he's standing in front of a placard that says, "How is this lowering costs?" ? And there's tear sheets.
Oh, this party is really sensitive to the effects people have on costs. It would have been nice a year ago, but.
But this is, okay, understand what's the message here? Let's just break down. What does that say? How is this lowering costs? First off, there's no declarative statement.
Yep.
Right? It's a cutesy question. How's this lowering costs? Okay, so what you're doing when you say that is you're saying, okay, we took Trump seriously when he said he was going to lower costs. And you guys took Trump seriously when he was going to lower costs. Now, like Matt said, there was sort of like the Democrats were saying, the inflation's not as real as you say it is. So there's a sort of like an ambivalent mixed message there. But how is this lowering costs? And then there's Trump's tariffs threaten job losses, blah, blah, blah. There's all sort of examples of what the press has written. Who is this for? Is it for the media? Why does it have to be, how is this lowering costs? Why can't it be, this is not lowering costs?
Or Trump's.
I mean,
Trump's
I'm just
action.
giving it this is I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here that the best message is to say, never mind that what Trump is doing is wholly illegal and effed up in and of itself. We're not going to address that directly. We're going to address the fact that he's not doing what he said, and we're not even going to address that directly. We're just going to put it in a question like hey.
Let's be glib about it and hope.
Sarcasm.
This is what I was saying earlier about the complete ineptitude with the media environment, which is that you have to break through the noise when there's so much information out there and it's on cable news or it's on TikTok or it's on Instagram or it's on whatever. Like, what are you going to do to take a message that elevates, like Trump does with his idiocy, that cuts through the noise, that rises to the top in this situation? And just asking a little glib question like you're, I don't know, like a podcaster, or it's silly. It's not messaging.
And even if you I'm willing to cut them slack. Like, it's tough to break through. But I'm just saying that if you're going to, what is the message? This is like you have to take 3 or 4 steps to understand what they're even talking about. And what is it that they're mad at? They're mad that Trump hasn't lowered inflation. Are they really mad that Trump hasn't lowered inflation? Do Americans who are dealing with egg prices, do they need Congress to remind them of that? Like, what is the message here? It's unclear to me. But let's go to Hakeem Jeffries. He's being asked a question here. Go back a little bit so we can hear the question.
When it comes to the next key leverage point you all have would be one of the things the government shutdown avoids. To what extent are Democrats willing to withhold votes? Your argument about the mandate withstanding, but withhold votes to avoid a government shutdown, and what do you need in exchange? In particular, when it comes to, do you see it as an opportunity to try to stop Musk or
I appreciate the question, Kevin, but I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? We are going to try to find bipartisan common ground.
Are you effing
on any issue?
kidding?
We'll work with anyone in this town to get things done for the American people, to lower the high cost of living, secure the border,
All right, listen.
and keep.
Okay. So, I mean, this is so muddled. It's unbelievable. The question was, you've talked about your next point of leverage, which is the government shutdown. This is happening when? In March? Like the continuing resolution goes to what, March 7th or something? Somewhere in the first week of March. Republicans have a 4-person majority in the House. There is every reason to believe that they cannot agree amongst themselves as to how to deal with the budget. And by not approving a budget, the government would shut down. Now, Jeffries wants to make it like the Democrats, we're not part of that process. Now, they're going to withhold votes. I think that's the plan. But he doesn't want to come off as like we're willing to shut down the government over. It's not we don't have the power to do this. And he's saying we're willing to work with the Republicans to enhance their agenda of strengthening the border and to, lower the costs for Americans and whatnot. Things are so muddled because he's not indicating to the American public there's something extraordinary that's going on right now. Like, they have completely foregone the entire system. Like, why do we need a budget?
Yeah.
This is the question, is like, you know what? Like, they want us to participate this, but why do we need a budget? Why is even Congress, what I'm unclear of, like, we're not clear why Mike Johnson would even bring a budget to the House.
Exactly. If
Donald Trump and Elon Musk have the ability to decide on their own what gets spent where. If that's the case, what are we doing here? I mean, the Republicans don't need our votes. They don't even need their own votes because they can just say to Musk and Trump that they can do this. Like, there's no
urgency.
This press conference could have been given at any time the Democrats were not in office. Were not in the majority. Point out to me one thing where these words could not be replayed in 2004, in 2014, in 2018. Like, walk me through this, or I should say 2022. Walk me through this where what Hakeem Jeffries is saying couldn't be applied to any of those other things. And if the leader of the Democrats in the House doesn't have the ability to even attempt to articulate, there's something different going on right now. There's something different going on right now. When the vice president of the United States is saying, like, well, I don't know if the courts really have any say over this. I mean, what's the point?
They're not, he's not communicating any urgency. He's not talking about the brazen lawlessness. I mean, Trump is already, and Musk, defying these court orders that is saying, you know, you're not allowed to do this. Trump is violating a core tenet of the Constitution, not even an amendment. Like, from the outset, Congress has the power of the purse, and once a bill is signed into law, the president has to faithfully execute it. And Trump is violating that in the first, month less than of his presidency. So the point is like, he is correct that they are in the minority. They're in the minority in the House. They're in the minority in the Senate. But politics isn't just saying, well, this is the reality, and posing a question, an open-ended question. Hey, everybody, why don't you figure it out? Like, hey, we're not going to message on immigration. We're going to do a little trick where it'll be parliamentary procedure that we hinge our immigration policy on in 2024. That, Trump, we tried to fix the border and Trump killed it. That makes him look more powerful. It makes him look like the president when he wasn't even in office. He looks like he can kill a bill when he's just the candidate. Same thing in this situation here. What do you expect us to do? We're in the minority. I don't know, act like you want to wield power and act like you can. Because you can say, like, we are limited, but we are trying very hard right now to make sure that Donald Trump and Elon Musk don't take and steal from the American public. Congress has decided on where our budget is going to go. Not an unelected billionaire who can go in and comb through with his little interns. That's what you say, as opposed to just whining and being on the back foot. You reorient the message to look like you are taking action, even if you know that you can't.
Does he even mention anything that's going on? Like, I mean, honestly, like if you had told me that, he was the minority leader in 2022, and they asked him this question. Oh, okay. What would be different?
I'll wait to hear why he was in Northern California last week. But go ahead, Bradley.
In this town, to get things done for the American people, to lower the high cost of living, secure the border, and keep our communities safe while defending dreamers, farm workers, and families at the same time. We have repeatedly made that clear. But Republicans have decided to go it alone. That's what the budget reconciliation
What are you talking about?
is all about.
Budget reconciliation. Listen, yes, I get all that. But why not? Why not put them on the hot seat for what's going on today? You don't need to explain the reconciliation stuff to a bunch of Washington reporters. Who are you communicating to? Who is this for?
You know what?
What is going on right now?
Yeah.
That is relevant to the. This is so blinkered. It is fascinating. Like if in 6 months, all of these the Musk and Trump have decided we're not going to listen to the courts. We're just going to do this, and then we're going to move forward, and then they'll take another step. If that happens, in 10 years from now, somebody's looking back at this speech, they're going to be like, wait a second. This can't have been happening on February 10th. What's he talking about? He's talking about and I get it. I've heard this many, many times on both sides, and it's perfectly legitimate explanation of like reconciliation is showing they're not going to work across the aisle. We're here to be partners to get the work done for the American people. I know all this stuff. It is completely rote. It is like pull it off in the handbook, page 37, reconciliation. What do you say? They want to go it alone. They don't want to work together. They're not going to be able to. And if they're going to go it alone, except for the part where they're shutting down agencies based upon zero authority. You're not going to talk about that when the question of leverage happens?
No.
It's just bizarre.
No, because also they act like they have no agency over public opinion or no ability to change it. That's the other frustrating thing. We had someone on the IM's commentary. I can't imagine Mitch McConnell ever spoke like Jeffries just did at any point during Obama's tenure. You know why? Because Republicans have an understanding that they can create leverage by making, even if they don't have the numbers, they can make certain things politically toxic and then use those in negotiations by using the bully pulpit and aggressively going after their opponent. But Democrats like Jeffries go, well, what can we do? We'll just step aside and let them pick apart themselves. But like, we're in an extraordinary and in a bad way moment. He's not even, as you're saying, he's talking about this like it's any other day. And we have a coup in parts of the federal government by the richest man on the planet. And you could, and if he wants to use, again, the Doge stuff within the budget negotiations, that's what's been reported. That makes sense as leverage and to get what they want, right? But you know how you increase your that leverage? By informing the American public about what the Republicans are doing. It makes you more powerful, but they don't. My fear is that they don't want to be powerful, and my fear is that there's a lot of consensus within liberal elites right now that the American public just has to go through this. And I'm really fear.
That's the case. It's like, I don't know that there's any way for them to stop this. But the point is, if we're going to go through this regardless, which is quite possible. The question is, do you want people to go through this without any understanding of what's happening and without in creating a vacuum so that the same people who are doing this can jump in and redefine, like, why doesn't your Social Security check show up? Well, Social Security checks don't show up because Social Security is bad. Because they don't want to make a positive case. They want the pain to happen, and then they can go back to business as usual. That's what they hope. As opposed to them going like, you know what they're doing right now? They're going to cut the Social Security Administration, and this is going to inhibit your checks. So when those checks don't show up, there's a story and a narrative that has already been created so that people can understand the reality that they're experiencing. And no one is out there going like, really hope these guys, I just can't believe the Republicans are going to do reconciliation again. That just seems so uncooperative. Like, why can't we join together? Like, who is advising these people? Like, who are they talking to?
Who are they talking to? Who was Hakeem Jeffries talking to last week? He was talking to Jewish groups, talking about how Sinwar is dead and we did all this stuff. And then later in the week, he was in Northern California with this Politico article. Hakeem Jeffries met privately with Silicon Valley donors in a bid to mend fences. So one thing we can thank Hakeem Jeffries for.
Pop that story up, because my favorite is what the fence that has been broken.
Yeah. But the thing is like, Hakeem Jeffries proves that this is not a generational thing. This is a corruption issue, and we're going to have to face this head on. He's not going to get better. He's not going to get better at this.
Scroll down. My favorite part of this article was how do we, okay. There's a significant fear that these tech folks who have been with us for a long time will say, F it, we're going with the other guys.
That already happened.
Yeah. These donors are also pissed watching former and current colleagues here have unlimited unchecked power and getting richer off of this, and they're not.
Wait, hold on. There's Silicon Valley billionaires that aren't getting more rich right now? I see that there's a lot that are getting rich right now, and that makes me feel okay. But then there's some that are associated with the Democratic Party who aren't in the in-group right now, looting our federal government, and they're not getting rich right now?
How do those guys...
Jesus Christ.
How come when they're aligned with the Republicans, they get to run the entire government?
So the Democratic Party made these monsters in part by cozying up to Silicon Valley and elevating them over and over again. And yes, like specifically in the Obama administration, made them into these monsters. They're now these billionaire oligarchs, robber barons who, unlike the Carnegies and stuff, like they actually barely do anything. They're just like venture capitalists or, tech losers. Spreadsheet freaks. The Democrats enabled them, created this monster. They are now trying to take over the federal government with this like monarchical
AI.
libertarian vision. Like the Coinbase guy is saying that we need to put the US currency on the blockchain, and Hakeem Jeffries' response is not to say like, oh no, we need to like break these guys up, which is what Lena Khan was in the process of doing, and commit to that fully. It's to go back and say like, hey, maybe there are a few good guys that can help us out. It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah.
Schumer and Jeffries need to be pushed out.
Absolutely.
We need wartime leaders.
Yes.
I mean, John Miller. Do you remember when Uber was allowed to drop people off closer to the DNC than the cabs were? I forget which year this.
2016, was that an important election?
That was in the that was in Philly.
It's kind of a metaphor.
Yep.
That was like after Travis Kalanick was like outed for abusing like, I think, personnel data in Uber to get after journalists. I have to look at the
I
details.
don't remember that.
Yep.
Why do these tech guys go all right wing all of a sudden?
Yeah. It's almost as if it's capitalism.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.